I can pull up his approval rating right here. Trump's approval rating from RCP aggregate plus 4.6. If we go back to the first few days of his presidency, he was up like 13 or whatever, up 8. Still, we expect it to normalize a little bit, but he's never been above water.
No, that's right.
And so clearly, in terms of what the American people want, they're liking what they're seeing.
I like the fact that, I like the fact that he's got high approval ratings, but to be honest with you, the substance of what he's doing, all of these executive orders, all the things that Doge is doing, that's the real victory. Even if people, started to get a little weak in the knees because it's big changes too fast for them or a little faster than they're comfortable with, I feel like that's okay because these changes are what he actually did run on, and these are the things that are necessary. Making the government smaller and more efficient, making the fact that, or making sure that the bureaucracy has there's a limit to the bureaucracy's ability to stymie the will of the American people. The bureaucracy passing rules, it has the same effect as Congress passing laws, and that's not supposed to be how legislation works in the United States, right? The executive branch has the ability to implement things, and so they're going to make some rules, but they shouldn't be making more rules than the American people can deal with. I think it's like 3 felonies a day is what the average person commits accidentally. So and really that puts everyone in a position where at any point the government might stick their nose into your life and say, hey, you have a massive problem now because we want to make your life a problem.
Well, that's why I love Trump talking about, look, I don't know how feasible this is, okay? I'm not an economist, but I love Trump talking about eliminating the income tax and going to an all tariff-based system, because right now, with all of us having to pay an income tax, every single one of us is at the whims of the federal government and the IRS and whether or not they decide to go after us. But if you I think the onus on federal revenues and taxes should be on major corporations and businesses that do business overseas. They've already got the accounting firms, they've got the best tax lawyers, but everyday people like you and I, we can't afford these guys. And so basically we have a tax code that can be weaponized against us at any point in time for simply missing a few things on our tax returns.
Do you think a consumption tax is a better option?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've seen proposals for a gross receipts tax on corporations. It's like a super low flat tax that corporations have to pay on their gross receipts. I just think the tax code, whatever the taxes are, it should be the lowest possible rate with the widest possible base.
Because tariffs only, no income tax.
Well, no, I'm not talking. I'm thinking I would love to get rid of the income tax too. But the idea, like if there was like
a VAT,
if there was I'm not sure if a value added tax is the same thing that I'm thinking of. Like essentially a federal sales tax or a federal. I mean, the reason it's a consumption tax is just on everything, right? Mm-hmm. And if you had 1% tax on every dollar that was spent, right? That would, I don't know exactly what it would generate, but it would generate a considerable amount of money because our GDP is $27 trillion or something.
So $1 on what?
So 1% on
1%
on every dollar spent.
On every dollar.
So it's like, a penny on every dollar.
Right.
But our GDP is 27 trillion, right? Annually or something like that.
So that would be 270 billion
in
additional revenues?
Yeah, something like that. And it wouldn't fund the whole government, but if you actually shrink the government considerably and have a some kind of something like that. And I don't know the number. I don't know if it's 1% or 2% or whatever. But the point being, instead of taxing people's income and taxing the people that go out and work, tax what's spent. So that way, if you decide you're not going to spend money, you're going to save your money. Mm-hmm. You're not paying the tax on your income. You're paying the tax only when you're actually engaging in economic activity. And I don't know the percentage or whatever, but to me it seems like that would be a better system than taxing people for going out and creating work or working and having an income.
So like a lot of people just, we live our lives. We don't really think about how the tax code impacts our lives. It does in so many different ways.
Huge.
So I like where you're going with this. What I would want to do is have this, if I was going to do this, have a national consumption tax, but then give a rebate for families. You get X amount of, dollars for a rebate on this for every kid you have or however, whatever it is.
Yep. But
you reorient the entire country, the entire economy around the family.
Yep.
I think doing it around individuals is just, it's it's too individualistic.
I mean, like I said earlier today, I like the idea of focusing government policy on promoting families as opposed to focusing government policy on, and this sounds horrible, but like, and I understand that, like, you know, there are people that need help and stuff like that, but the idea that we incentivize women having children outside of wedlock is bad. Like, we need to stop doing that. We need to stop incentivizing people to have multiple children. And you hear the stories and the anecdotes. Oh, you know, I don't want to go and make more money because I'll lose this benefit from the government, and I don't want to go and try and get another job, or if me and my baby daddy get married, then we're going to lose this and we're going to lose that. Those kind of things incentivize single motherhood. They incentivize people to not become families and not start families. So there should be policies that incentivize families and incentivize normal, traditional male and female families. Stop focusing on the margins. Stop trying to center the margins. You know, stop trying to incentivize LGBT people to have whatever kind of, you know, polyamorous lifestyle they want.
There's no benefit to society
There's
from
no
that.
benefit to that.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. It is not. And to be honest with you, all it does is make society worse.
When
Like, you
Trump signed the executive order to bring all the federal employees back to working in the office instead of remote work, a lot of people actually said that decision was anti-family, because the women who were working for the federal government from home were no longer able to work from home. And people were like, okay, but we're paying, as taxpayers, we're paying for them to basically do nothing all day. That doesn't seem fair. And they're like, no, but you're incentivizing them to stay home with their children. That's a good thing.
I think that it's
I can't make
leftists
sense
lying.
of that.
I think it's leftists lying about it.
They lie about everything.
do.
Why
But there
do
were,
we-
I'm telling you, right-wing, like conservative people who were saying this is a bad thing to force federal employees back into the office, because the women who work for the federal government are no longer going to be able to stay home with
So
their
first
kids
of all,
while they work this like laptop job or whatever.
I'm pretty sure if you're doing telework, you're required, at least like my organization requires it. We're small, but if you are working from home for this type of stuff, you have to have childcare arranged. So they should not
but
actually be
they're
home with
slipping
their
under
kids.
the radar, and people,
Right.
conservatives were saying like you should just let them though.
Yeah, no, that's bad.
Like you should just let them pretend to work while they take care of their kids, and then we will pay for it through our taxes.
If they are they married? Ostensibly,
That's the one that they were referring to was
okay. So
yeah.
I would be in favor of firing them and coming up with a program for married couples to supplement the income that they would have, and then actually getting rid of that job. Or because once their kids are old enough, they can not have that whatever program it is anymore. So
The example I was reading about was that she did have the availability for subsidized childcare through her federal government job, but that she made too much money to qualify for it. Okay, so I just I didn't understand the argument there.
I mean, I'm not 100% sure the argument there either, but I mean, I think that it is.
Moms should just have as many fake email jobs as possible. As long as they don't work for the federal government, I would like for them to go steal money from a corporation instead of me.
Well, I mean, I think that if you're working for the federal government, you should have to actually go to work. You should actually have to work for the government. You should have to do your job.
Where were all these people? Are they even living in DC, or are they just all over the country?
I don't have any idea, but it's bad that we got to this point, right? Like,
Yeah.
COVID is what made this happen. And we should have gone back to normal as soon as we could have after COVID. And at some point, we should go back to normal, because if there are people that got onto this program while COVID was going on, if they didn't end it, then more people were getting onto these programs, and it becomes a a program that doesn't go away. It'll never end. There will always be people that are working remotely that are saying, well, I can just sign up for this because I have a kid or I want to have a kid. So I'm going to work remote and I'm going to make, $100,000 or $200,000 a year working remotely. And I'm actually only going to work about, 30 hours a week for the federal government. I'm going to work on it's going to be the taxpayer dime or whatever. So whereas people may be making that argument, I honestly, I find it uncompelling.
It's like luxury welfare.
Yeah, it's like, look, it's bad that you're in this position, but it has to end. We have to stop these things. We can't have a system where people are working remotely and not going to work. Like
all the competent, self-governing, conscientious people out there are saying, no, like as soon as I started working remotely from home, I got so much more done. And I don't really even disbelieve what they're saying, but most people, the vast majority of people, do need to be supervised in order to get anything done.
Yes, and honestly, I imagine that people that that are that that good at getting working
at that point,
remotely
just
or
own
whatever.
your own business.
Exactly what I was gonna say. Like they probably would be successful at whatever they do.
You wouldn't want your employees to work from home.
Yeah, it's true because I mean it does seem to me that the majority of people that work from home are not the extremely go get 'em kind of people. They are people that are doing their best to kind of skate by, and that's not everybody, of course.
Like people who say like I smoke pot all day and I'm the most productive person.
I'm not
I
addicted.
know.
Yeah,
and I'm not addicted.
And either way, I don't want the people that work for the federal government doing that. I want people that work for the federal government to be like, to be kind of like ridden by their boss, being like, yo, are you getting this done? Are you getting this done? I like the idea that as much as, you're probably not going to get this in the federal government, but I like the idea that when Musk was going around to people at Twitter saying, what did you get done this week? What did you get done this week? What did you get done this week? Like, there should be a goal of being productive, especially in government. If you are in government and you have a job to do, there should be someone walking around saying, what did you get done this week?
Look,
what did you get done this week?
Elon Musk and Vivek got a lot of flack when they were saying a couple months ago that Americans are lazy. And that was their excuse for hiring non-American labor. Well, I will say this. Americans are lazy, but we have to hire American and build up our culture and infrastructure to reverse this cultural track. We can't function this way. But man, I got to tell you, I talked to a lot of people who own businesses, and the conversations are, I don't know if it's always been this way, but a large majority of the people who come in for work do not want to work. Yeah. Elon Musk goes in and says, what did you get done this week? Because I bet 90% did nothing. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.